Hi, this is John Wren. We're here each Friday at noon. The startup show is just a couple of minutes before noon right now. So I wanted to come on. We put out on Twitter and Facebook that we're live streaming. So I wanted to make sure somebody was here if you happen to peek in from one of those notices that we just put out. We've been doing this for a long time. Here in my kitchen for not quite so long. Before we were on from the Five Points Media Center, an internet station there. What was it called? KTVR. And we did that for, I don't know, a year or so, trying the internet broadcasting like we're doing here now. And from a studio, there were certain advantages. There are certain advantages in doing it from here. But it's noon, so let's go and get it started. Hi, I'm John Wren. This is the Startup Show. Today we're going to talk about business and politics. We're sponsored by Small Business Chamber of Commerce, Inc. We are a virtual organization. We try to cooperate with local chambers and other groups to give more real help to startups and business owners. So if that's you, take a look. Anything that has to do with startup may benefit from what we're doing. If you're looking for a new career, you just want to go in a new direction with your work life. If you're starting a new project or a campaign within whatever it is you're doing now, you might find the Small Business Chamber of Commerce, Inc. a helpful group. Right now, membership's free through April 15th. Just take a look at the website, smallbizchamber.org. We'd like to help you do more good work. And we're here each Wednesday to talk about events that are coming up, free, open events. We believe in keeping things free and open. The person that's just starting up sometimes is not only has limited resources, but they tend to be a little bit frightened, and rightfully so. There's a lot of bad information out about startup. You know, we're evidence-based in what we do. I don't know of any other startup program that is evidence-based. Evidence developed that shows that businesses just don't start the way the Small Business Administration says that they should start. If you see someone that's just gone into business and before their first customer, they're doing market research and careful planning, it's almost a sure sign of failure. If that approach worked, like the SBA seems to think it does work, we would not have a market economy. We would have a planned economy. What's brought prosperity in this country with the new economy, this is a new idea. I mean, when the monarch was in charge, you know, the London company had to get permission to do whatever it is. And a lot of people in the government would like it to still be that way, that we have to get permission, but we don't. We have a free market economy. If you have an idea, you can go out and give it a try, get a customer, get money coming in. Now, eventually, you're going to tidy up with the tools that I was taught about in graduate business school. And I'm not against market research. I'm not against careful planning, but not before the first sale in most startups. Most startups come out of the press of business. There's an opportunity. You see it and seize it, either because you're looking, you're open, you're prepared, or because maybe you go to your boss and the boss just won't listen. You can't get your company to do it. So you say, well, I'm going to try it. I've got to do this. So if you'd like to know more about that, take a look at johnwren.com. I'd be glad to meet with you one-on-one. Take a look at just joining and participating virtually from anywhere in the world on our webpage, smallbizchamber.org. We'd like to help you do more good work. So today we're going to talk about business and politics. You know, a lot of people feel like if they're in business, they really need to stay out of politics, that you get in trouble if you talk about religion, if you talk about politics, and you can. I mean, if you become doctrinaire and abrasive and offensive, you know what, it might hurt your business, but it might not. I mean, look at Donald Trump. I think it would be a disaster for our country if Donald Trump was elected. You may feel differently, and you might be right. A lot of people said that about Ronald Reagan. it's sad. However, you know, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, how can you even compare the two? I mean, it's just, Reagan had served as governor. He'd been the head of his union. He knew how to work with organizations. He could communicate a message in a powerful way. Donald Trump has done lots of stuff, but none of it prepares him to put his finger on the nuclear button as far as I can see. But anyway, that's aside. But if I'm talking to you about my views about Donald Trump, it can put you off a little bit, especially if I start screaming at you. So, you know, being a rational, logical person, we are in a free country, and most people will respect that you have a point of view. I worked for a large corporation one time that really encouraged people to get involved in politics because everybody has a point of view. And are they just being honest and open about it? That's sometimes the question. If they have a point of view and they're not sharing it with you, sometimes that's a more dangerous situation than anything else. So one of the benefits to your business of becoming involved in politics, if you do it the right way, and you know, it's pretty much, this isn't a choice in our system of government. President Eisenhower said, in our system of government, politics must be the part-time occupation of every citizen. So we at least have to vote, read the newspaper, vote, but that's not enough. And in Colorado, we have a wonderful mechanism for getting involved. I think it could become our biggest export because I think other states, when they really stop and think about it, are going to see how powerful our system is and what a much better government we have as a result. Now, it's not perfect, especially in recent years. The caucus is not perfect. The Colorado caucus, it was started in 1912. It is not perfect. And neither is our government, but it's better because of the caucus's operation since 1912 for the most part, as far as I'm concerned. And we've put a statement up on the cocaucus.org. That's the website of Save the Caucus, which we're having to do again, it looks like. And if you go to cocaucus.org, you can see the letter we just put up that will go into this in more detail. But the caucus, when it's well led, which it was not this time, I don't think it was 2 years ago, and you know, it's just pathetic what it is now. If you went this year in Colorado and just never even want to talk about it again, I cannot blame you. It was terrible this year. You know, now, there were some exceptions, even despite the worst leadership I have ever seen of the Colorado caucus at the very top of the organizations. You know, very worst because, you know, the state chairs of both parties were saying on television the weekend before the caucus that they want to get rid of the caucus and replace it with a presidential primary, which we know in Colorado kills the caucus. Anyone that says they want a presidential primary in Colorado, what they're really saying is they want to kill the caucus because we know that's what happens. We've had experience with presidential primaries. We tried it for a couple of election cycles and then went back to the caucus because the presidential primary was expensive. The state pays for it, whereas the caucus system, the party pays for everything. So it's expensive for the state. People that aren't participating have to pay for it. That's not fair. So we went back to it, and now these forces, this evil empire that wants to kill the grassroots, I believe, is really behind the thing because they get a plan, they do research, they know what's best, they want to just put it into action, and they may be well-intentioned. They want to speed things up. Let's get rid of the grassroots. But the grassroots is what's made this country great for the last 235 years, and it's what's made it possible to be a startup. I don't think if we had healthy grassroots in this country from the very, very beginning that we would have developed the way that we had economically. And as that grassroots is going away, I believe it really is impacting our economy. So does Edmund Phelps, who Nobel Prize winning economist. His book, Mass Flourishing, looks at when that was the situation 100 years or so ago, when this country had grassroots. We could see them starting to wither and die because of the abuse of our political system. There was a progressive reform movement, and it resulted here in Colorado in our wonderful Colorado caucus. that really preserves the best of both worlds, the caucus system and also the direct primary. It gives direct participation to anybody that wants to be involved, but it's more of a relay race. It's not like walking in the voting booth and pulling the lever. This is where you participate fully. The party active members should select their candidates, and then they compete against each other. If you don't have that kind of responsibility for the people that you're electing, how can you even call yourself a political party? Now, what we're forming Save the Caucus for now is to fight this crazy, not amendment, Initiative 98. Initiative 98, first, I don't see how it was ever accepted because it's talking about so many different things. There's supposed to be a single issue. They're saying, well, our single issue is the primary election. Not really. The selection of the party's candidate might have been okay, but to say primary election is totally misleading, because you don't have to have a primary election with this Initiative 98. If you read it, it gives the parties the permission to go back to where we were pre-progressive reform. Teddy Roosevelt, progressive reforms, 1912, brings a system that's really terrific because the party members control the party instead of the party bosses. We had a Tammany Hall type situation. Here in Denver, it was with Robert Speer, who did a lot of good things, but was pretty heavy-handed in the way. If you've seen the Gangs of New York, this is what they were trying to reform. Pretty brutal stuff. And it worked. Progressive reforms came in, and we kind of got back on a more of an even keel. Because that party system is strong, but it can be too strong. So what we did with the Colorado caucus is to tie it in so that the party members really have a say-so. Why do you think the two state chairs want to get rid of it? Because they don't like everybody nipping at their heels. They'd like to have more power, like they did before the progressive reforms. Do we really want to go back to where we were before the progressive? Do we want to go back to the Gangs of New York? I don't think so. So don't sign Initiative 98, please. Take a look at our website. Read what's just been posted there. And if it makes sense to you, we're going to be forming a steering committee. Be a great opportunity to get involved and really make a difference in Colorado. We need to rebuild our website, make it much more powerful, because we'd like to organize down to the grassroots level. We'd like to have someone to be an ambassador for both major political parties in every single precinct in Colorado. Maybe an ambassador for the Libertarians and the Greens and the others. I think if we had 3 ambassadors in every precinct, but this is a big job. There's 3,000 precincts, so we'd have an organization of about 10,000 people. Now, we'll do this neighborhood by neighborhood and not exactly precinct by precinct. And then all the precincts will be having an ambassador contact from their neighborhood. And we'll do this across Colorado, and we're going to try to do it in a way that it becomes self-sustaining, so that every 2 years in the off year, we can have a neighborhood gathering where we celebrate our Colorado caucus system and help newcomers learn how it works. So then the next year, the ones that want to participate will be able to. We'll also talk about the fact that in the caucus system, it's sort of like a relay race. If we go to the Olympics, nobody says, hey, it's not fair, I don't get to run. I'm not going to support the Olympics unless we can't all run in the Olympics, right? But there are other ways we can support the Olympics. Just be a fan and watching. Some people contribute money. Some people encourage athletes to get involved. There are all kinds of ways to participate in the Olympics. And the Colorado caucus is a little bit like that, except we all do get a chance to run at some point in our life. We have seasons in our life when we have time to participate in self-government to a larger extent. And then we have seasons in our life when it's just impossible. And the caucus is for the active party members that are fully involved to come together in their local neighborhood. And if you're a neighbor but not going to the caucus, let's say you maybe are just, you can't do it anymore physically. You just can't go, and then you can have a tremendous impact on those who do go by supporting your local party in your local neighborhood. You can be a block worker and then let someone else go. What's really ruined the caucus is this selfishness and self-centeredness that we see ruining all kinds of things in America. And what we need are these ambassadors in every neighborhood who are there to be of service and not there to try to pound across their particular point of view. Really, precinct committee people should be that for both political parties, but this will be even more so. And we don't want to take anything away. If you're an active party member, if you're working in a campaign, if you're involved in a political organization, the Young Republicans or the Young Democrats or Republican women, this is not for you, what we're trying to put together. This is the person that says, you know, I've had it, I'm not going to do anything. Maybe you've even changed your registration to unaffiliated. And this is who we're looking for. And if we can have somebody in each neighborhood to coordinate with the Republicans, somebody to coordinate with the Democrats, we'd have a monthly meeting where these people would be leading the meeting along with the co-leadership of the elected precinct committee people. And then it's an open monthly meeting to talk about what's coming up. You know, it's just crazy that we do the caucus without preparation. You know, this year it was terrible, although it was intentional this year. You stop and think about it. Here are two state party chairs that lock arms on TV the weekend before the caucus and say, you know, we really need to get rid of this system. Then you go, you know, I went to District 2, both parties, and couldn't hear the whole thing in both places, but the one I did hear getting the evening underway, she's talking about we need to get rid of what we're doing tonight. Instead of saying, isn't this wonderful? We're coming together, motivating people. You know, now, where did she get that? From state party leadership. So I don't really blame the district person or even the county person, although sometimes I do. You know, Carolyn, Denver County GOP chair, when we had Save the Caucus to defeat Amendment 29, she was working to pass Amendment 29. Now, it's a free country. She has a right to do that. But why does she want to be in charge of something that she wants to kill? And did she have any idea about how that is demotivating everybody in her organization to do that? So we need to get back to the roots of what the Colorado Caucus is all about. These kinds of things actually end up being good because they bring new people in. And we're going to be trying to do that over the next bit of time. Now, I'm going to keep this somewhat on the short side. I'm going to post this video on cocaucus.org. So anybody coming to that site, hopefully they'll see this and they'll understand what we're doing. Now, why is the Small Business Chamber of Commerce, Inc. Encouraging this? Well, one, it just is helping get the ball rolling. Really, who's the driving force is a registered Colorado political committee called Save the Caucus. And this is the same name that was used by the group that fought Amendment 29 back in 2002 that would have killed the caucus. They'd had the presidential primary, which is a mortal wound to the caucus system as we have it here in Colorado. So it was dying, and someone came along and said, let's finish it off, which really should have been done unless we get behind it. So people came out of the woodwork because they love our Colorado caucus. They'd seen it at its best. They knew this presidential primary had gotten in the way. And I wanted to do then what we will do now is to start something that continues. And, you know, you have to save the caucus every 2 years. We're one election cycle away from, you know, having the same mess we have today. So it's a constant challenge, but it builds community. It builds social capital is what Robert Putnam calls it. And it makes the neighborhood much, much better. Now, it's a chicken and an egg thing. If you have a good neighborhood, you have better caucuses. And if you have a good caucus, you will have a better neighborhood. It's sort of the same coin, two different sides. So if you'd like your neighborhood to be a real community, get involved with us. We're going to put a copy of this up. If you'd like to get involved, the first thing you can do is maybe post this on social media so people will know what we're doing. And We want to form a group, and we're going to kick it off April 20th, unless between now and then the Initiative 98 people will withdraw the initiative. If they'll stop their craziness, then there's no need to really gear up in such an aggressive, expensive way. But if they don't withdraw, we're going to start raising money, hiring professional staff. We'll have office space. And if you'd like to get involved on the ground floor, I'd welcome you to come to our next steering committee meeting. Call me, John Wren, 303-861-1447. It's 303-861-1447. And I will tell you all about it and see if it makes sense to you, and we'll get you involved. You'll also be able to contribute money, volunteer for helping with all kinds of things. So watch the website. That's how we'll be communicating. And one of the things we really need to do is improve our website. So if you could help us with that, we'd really like to hear from you. Number is 303-861-1447, cocaucus.org. Now, we're not going to take this much time on politics next week, but we'll keep you posted. Each Friday at noon, we're on with the Startup Show here. We'll be keeping you up to date on what's happening with Save the Caucus and hoping to get even more people involved. We'd like to have a team of volunteers across the state that will become self-sustaining through activities that we'll be talking about more after we bounce them off the steering committee. You know, it's never too late to get started, but this life is very short, so let's go get started now. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next week.